Oh yeah, the scene that dare not speak its name.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna make them sorry they ever came up with that idea.
You know, I don't like being pushed out of my comfort zone. I thought, well, Harrison didn't get pushed out of his comfort zone. He's flying spaceships, making wisecracks and being cynical. Why am I so different? But it's really important for the story. And I came to realize, first of all, it's not my story anymore. You know, we really have to tell the story of the new protagonist. So, you know, eventually you have to trust Ryan, because he's the director and he wrote it, and I have such a bond with him. I thought, I don't think this is right for me, but I'm going to do the best I can to realize your vision. Because, you know, I'd much rather be so powerful I have force lightning coming out of my ears. And, you know, when we were doing the 7, Ryan said, oh, and by the way, I might have a couple of boulders floating to show your force emanating. So I was led to believe that I still had the force and that was really strong in me.
That's funny too, because that would have changed the whole story if they
Of course. In fact, when I read 8 before 7 came out, I said, what? And I called, did I call JJ or Ryan? Somebody, I said, just say, are you guys aware of this? Have you seen a cut? Is there floating boulders? And they said, no, we caught that. We worked it all out. But that's the difference here. In the old days, there was an overall outline. This one's more like a relay race where the first guy runs the race and hands the torch off. And then, you know, the same with Ryan. Whoever, or JJ now is going to take Ryan's story and figure it all out. So it's interesting. The new trilogy will be different because Ryan will have an overall outline for all 3 films.
Can I ask what your reaction was when you first read the script from Ryan?
Well, listen,
be honest.
No, I was amazed at the complexity of it, that it was so challenging, the range of emotions, every color in the palette. Mine happened to be of a darker hue.
That was part of the challenge with the character of Luke, because I
Right.
felt like I couldn't have him on the island because he's a coward or he's given up. He had to have an active reason he was there. His reason is he genuinely believes the Jedi are a hindrance to the galaxy, and so
Right.
it actually turns it into this kind of heroic act he's taken on his shoulders of he knows his friends are suffering and he's making the choice to do the most painful, difficult thing for him, which is take himself out of the fight.
Well, you have to trust someone. You know, as long as I was able to express my reservations about Luke, because you can't help but feel some measure of ownership, you know, like Luke wouldn't say that, Luke wouldn't do this. But once we had that conversation, my job was to wipe out what Mark Hamill wants and do my best to realize Ryan's vision. And I thought, I'm going to turn over everything. You usually have a inner mechanism that says, well, this feels right, this doesn't feel right. But all throughout the process, I just said, you know, he'd say, we got it. And I said, shouldn't we do one more? And he said, no, we got it. Well, I said, well, Ryan, if you're happy, I'm happy. And he was my seeing eye dog. So if I've succeeded in any way, it's all because of Ryan. And also, if I fail, it's also because of Ryan.
Thank you, Mark. Daisy.
See, a Jedi never takes responsibility.
How much of Luke Skywalker did you discuss with Colin Trevorrow? And since he's kind of out of the picture for now, are you interested? Do you want to work with Rian Johnson again, like regarding the future of that character?
I would work with Rian Johnson in anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be Star Wars related. And I'm a huge fan. I mean, the changes in the directors have been hard for me because I admire Phil so much. I admire Chris so much. I admire Colin and their body of work. But again, it's got to be really difficult to come to a meeting of minds on something this massive. I had discussions with Colin, and I was very excited because we were on the same page in terms of where we wanted to go and how we wanted to see Luke in a way we've never seen him, even in this current version. But I don't know what went on. I don't want to know because there's no upside to that story. I mean, I like all those people, and I like Kathy, and I like Lawrence Kasdan, and all the people that were involved in that decision. But sometimes ignorance is bliss, and they don't tell me anything.
More challenging?
Yes, and I think he has more leeway to really mess things up. It's Colin Trevorrow that's going to have to tie all the loose ends together.
I mean, you talked about the reaction to the first script, obviously, that funny kind of thing about waiting for Luke to appear,
Right.
etc. What was your reaction when you finally got a chance to read this one? Were you satisfied and excited in terms of how integral Luke is and was to the story? Were you surprised by what Ryan chose to do?
Yes, I was very surprised. And I have to tell you, and I should have realized that when I read 7, I said, I love everybody's part except mine. And on this one, it was similar in the sense that I said to Ryan, I'm so surprised how you see Luke. I mean, there's all this conjecture. I remember reading one theory that they've cloned Luke's hand into an evil Luke. Now, what actor doesn't want to play his own evil twin?
It's a classic.
So I said, I pitched that to him. He said, no, we couldn't do anything that had been done before.
Right.
So a lot of the fan fiction stole some of the best
Damn good ideas, ruined it.
It's good to force project to somewhere else in the universe without dying. No, I kid. I feel like I had, actors love good entrances. You can't top The Force Awakens for... Everybody talks about me for 2 hours, and they do all the heavy lifting. I turn around, remove a hood, and they go, wow, Darth Vader's only in Star Wars for 12 minutes, they say. And then in terms of a spectacular exit, I don't know how I'd ever top the one in Last Jedi. So, I'm good. You have to, you have to go through a process. And, I love the new cast. I love the whole idea of a new generation. But you start making the emotional disconnect. When I read 7, I thought, I'm never going to work with Harrison again. And then the real life tragedy of losing Carrie. That was we'll never get the band back together again. That's life. You have to accept that. But I don't think I've fully recovered from that. But you just have to put in perspective and move on. So I'm more appreciative of what we had than envious of what others will have without me. I have had a spectacular ride, and I'm truly grateful for it. I'm like a lot of you. I feel an investment in it. I feel a certain sense of ownership, which is a joke because I don't own it. Now Disney does, but you care. And that's what happens with these films. When you get right down to it, it's not Mark Hamill in a big blockbuster film, it's Luke. The hardest thing I had to do was his radical reimagining of that character. So, you had to figure out your backstory, even though it's not important to the audience, it's important to the actor to know, hey, what happened between the last one and this one, where the most optimistic guy in the galaxy becomes a suicidal, cranky old man telling people to get off his lawn. It's just a Luke that I didn't really understand. Obviously, a lot's happened between, but I had to, like I say, make up backstories that besides picking that Kylo Ren, picking the new Hitler to be the next hope, that's on me. But there had to be more to me to justify even cutting off my telepathic communication with my sister. So, but that's my job. I'm not the one that, and there were practical things, because JJ had a much different vision for what was going to happen in 8. The first thing I said to Ryan is, I said, how are we going to explain me being in my Jedi ceremonial robes when I first meet Rey? Things like that, to make sure that, there was a flow. It's even the things that I said, wait a second, I'm going to burn down the library, don't try and stop me, and then Yoda raises a finger, does it for me, and I go, but that's just saying the Jedi text! Hey, make up your fine. That's Luke. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, oh, okay, not only is he a broken man, he's certifiably insane. No, I can play that. I'm not a method actor in the sense that I'm, cranky and reclusive on set. I like people and I like having fun. But no, it took a while because what you have to do is you have to say, okay, that's not the way I expected, but I like the unexpected. It's good to be pushed out of your comfort zone. It's good to be pushed out of your comfort zone. It's good to be pushed out of your comfort zone.
I don't like being pushed out of my comfort zone.